Hey there, I'm Mr. Terry, high school history teacher, basketball enthusiast. Welcome to another reaction video. All right, this has been recommended to me a few times recently, and we're back with DocuDubery, who is hilarious. And we got a video I have not seen before, and it's called, Could Bronny James Have Stopped the Mongolian Conquest of Baghdad? I absolutely love this concept. The destruction of Baghdad is one of the most infamous moments in world history, really. End of the Islamic Golden Age, one of the deadliest sieges in world history. But could our little man Bronny have done something about it? I gotta know. All right, original videos down below. Those guys have been really cool, DocuDubery, about me covering their stuff. Just make sure you sub to their channel. By the way, if you like fun content like I'm about to watch, make sure you're sub to my new channel. That's fun scripted content. Let's go Mr. Terry's History Originals, link down below as well. All right, let's get started. All right, basketball is my first sports love. I'm wearing my NBA Jam shirt. You guys have always seen the background, my NBA Jam cabinet, arcade cabinet. I've coached high school basketball for 17 years. Oh man, and when we can cross it with history like DocuDubery does, that's amazing. And I haven't seen this, so I'm excited to check this out. And hopefully fill in a little bit of history as well, especially with what happens with the Mongols and the Abbasid Caliphate of Baghdad. Let's see what we got.
Some military historians out there would argue that coming off the bench, averaging 0.7 points, 0.2 rebounds, and 0.3 assists per game
That's 60%
would not
shooting.
be enough to stop the highly experienced, highly mobile Mongolian army.
I know all the haters are already bringing it up with Bronny. Yes, he got to the league through nepotism for his father. Instrumental, by the way, in the fall of Constantinople. That was, I think, the first DocuDubery video I watched. I'll try to link that one down below. It was so fun. Anyway, but maybe Bronny could have helped. What, if he just played? If they played him more? Come on, JJ Redick.
Enough to stop the highly experienced, highly mobile Mongolian army at the height of their power. But I would counter this point
maybe
with
the capstone of their empire.
Do you really think that some con artists from Central Asia would stand a chance in a 1v1 against someone with the full backing of Lebronstantine the 23rd,
right?
Conqueror of Jordan, King of Lebanon, Georgia, and the SEC,
Georgia.
Protector of the Yay, 8-time MVP All-Star of the Peloponnesian League, and Emperor of the...
I went too fast. I gotta see all these places. I remember in the Constantinople video, they talked about Jordan, like conquering Jordan, because it's the Ottoman Empire and it's got Michael. I don't remember Lebanon or Turkey. No one wins. No one can beat the SEC, but I mean, it's amazing. LeBron could do it.
8-time MVP All-Star of the Peloponnesian League, and Emperor of the Bronzantines and Lebronstantinople.
Oh, they're bringing the Persian Wars.
In 1258 AD, approximately 760 years before LeBron's...
Wait, what is the stat? Okay, there's so much stuff. This is what, if you don't know this channel, it's these funny documentaries, but they pack in so much history that pretty much word by word, and just like the vision and the visuals, you gotta like look. You gotta look closely. Siege of Baghdad, because this is the famous image you'll probably see in a lesson or something of the Siege of Baghdad. Year 760 blister. I don't know what they mean by that, but before LeBron James swept Toronto, did he meant to put Raptors or Grapers, which is pretty much what is about spelled right there, which the Mongols did a lot of, by the way, notoriously. Oh, geez.
Approximately 760 years before LeBron sacked the city of Toronto in the 2018 NBA playoffs. The Mongolian Empire, led by
they ended up winning the ring eventually,
were looking to destroy the city of Baghdad, which was the capital of the Abbasid Caliphate. Now,
Caliphate? Like Wiz Khalifa and Abbasid. That's awesome. By the way, Baghdad, it was called the Round City. So the Abbasid Caliphate built this, up there in Mesopotamia as their capital, and they had constructed it, founded it, and they built like a round structure like that. I hope they bring up the Baghdad House of Wisdom, which is really the repository of the entire golden age of the Islamic world.
Which was the capital of the Abbasid Caliphate. Now, would Bronny have come
California
to the Abbasid Caliphate in this situation? Well, if there's one thing we know about this King James version of history, it's that the LeBrons love signing record deals in Cali. Plus, with defending the modern-day region of Iran Iraq, and iPhone, there could potentially be a reward deal with Apple, similar to what Lionel Messi got when he signed with the MLS.
Yep, true.
So now that we know Bronny
Billions,
James
pretty
would have
much.
defended the ancient city of Baghdad against the Mongols.
I hope so, because, that's the thing that Bronny supporters always said is, okay, he's not like the offensive explosion like his father could be, but he can make high percentage plays, and then it's defense, right? Like he's a defender. He can lock people down. That was supposed to be his thing that he could do at an elite level. So why not here at the infamous city of Baghdad?
Bronny James would have defended the ancient city of Baghdad against the Mongols. How would he have matched up against their army?
Lock him
and
up,
ultimately,
yeah.
I think this is a matchup that heavily favors Bronny James.
Oh.
And here's why.
Okay.
First off, Mongolian siege tactics featured an offense that likes to park in the paint and close to the walls of besieged cities.
True. Siege warfare, especially before cannons, was largely doing exactly that. Walls were so hard to penetrate. You just went around it and you stopped all the supplies from coming in and out. Basically, you starve out the city. Now, they did have their siege warfare and stuff like that. They would basically have these catapults, and they would launch like flaming stuff actually in there. They would cut down the trees because there's like trees around the city, which aren't that numerous, but enough that you could, and probably plant it a lot, but you cut them down and launch like huge trees into it to mess people up. But Mongols have the greatest offense, pretty basically in world history. So is Bronny elite enough with his supposed defensive prowess? He's going to have to defend against some tactics. All right, I'm hoping this Mongol can do a crossover like under his horse. That'd be sick.
Likes to park in the paint and close to the walls of besieged
Bronny's not
cities.
a tall guy, though.
This
He's
is
not
going to
defend the
cause
post.
a lot of turnovers for the Mongolian army via the 3-second lane violation.
Foster.
A lot of people think that because the Mongolians are
They were there a lot
steps,
longer than 3 seconds.
this means that they got a good Euro step, but they often botch it and get called for travels. Again, turnovers are going to be a major issue for the Mongolians in a 1v1 matchup.
That's fair.
Now, the Mongolians do get a lot of respect for their shooting.
Wait, let's see this. Could Bronny defeat the Mongols in a 1v1? Okay, so there's their talk with the talking heads on ESPN. Mongols shoot 74% from 3-point range on horseback. Now, that would be absurdly effective because no NBA player could shoot that high. You're considered elite in the NBA. If you can hit 40%, elite, you're considered. So 74, while on horseback, while moving, dude, Mongols were a bunch of Steph Currys from deep, though.
Matchup. Now, the Mongolians do get a lot of respect for their shooters. Their 3-point percentage is off the charts, especially when they play on horseback.
Yep, just like the bow.
If Bronny can play ironclad man-to-man defense and lock down the arc, then I think he saves Baghdad from one of the worst massacres in human history. And with it, years and years of knowledge from the Golden Age of Islam.
Glad they're bringing this up. This was such a defeating thing intellectually for the world, as Baghdad was the repository of basically the cutting edge knowledge and technology of the world that was being preserved here in the Middle Ages. And it's them that, had consolidated so much of this, and is going to be responsible for the European Renaissance, which is going to happen in just about a century after this. So much of that Greco-Roman science and philosophy and all the stuff that's been collected from the Asian world throughout all the Middle Ages, Europe's going to rediscover it and bring their whole Renaissance to it. So it is directly connected to the West if you think it was not. Totally is. And boy, did they destroy Baghdad thoroughly. Couple 100,000 people killed, one of the deadliest sieges of civilians in history, and especially when you compare the numbers of what city sizes were like by that. If you talk about like 200,000, that'd be like the equivalent of sacking a city of like millions today. When you look at per capita population, it's still considered one of the highest ones, up there with some of the most deadly battles of like World War II, but the cultural effects even greater.
And with it, years and years of knowledge from the Golden Age of Islam. Especially if the Mongolians agree to a 1v1 make it take it, so their high turnover rate would really get exposed. A shout out to my patrons for your continued support of this channel.
So it's got the Patreon supporters here. Did you see? Okay, so he had a Mongolia over here, but then you see this one, it's the person's name's Genghis Khan ate corn. All right, top tier. That was so funny. By the way, I've been showing some of these in class recently, and they get great feedback from the kids that know if they're talking about like sports or whatever, or even the ones that aren't, because they'll like use cartoons. They'll bring up something from like SpongeBob or something. They're really fun, and they're great to add when you got like 5 minutes left in class. And it's just kind of downtime. This one's gonna make it to my classroom for sure. Final thoughts. All right, it was short and sweet and fully entertaining. Another great job from DocuDubery. Hope was able to insert some great historical tidbits. Look into the Siege of Baghdad and the Mongol conquest of the Abbasid Caliphate. If you want to hear about something that both like politically and the stories and then militarily, all that stuff interests you from history, you've got to check this out. It's wild. All right, with that, we'll see y'all next time.